win. Long as you're happy, you're always gonna grin. You get out what you put in. You get out what you put in. Never gonna lose, never gonna win. Long as you're happy, you're always gonna grin. You get out what you put in. You get out what you put in. You get out what you put in. Dermot Hamblin, hello, how are you?
Hello, good afternoon, Ashley. How are you, sir?
Oh, buzzing, absolutely buzzing. Do you know, we nearly didn't get here because we were chatting too much.
Yes, indeed. We were having a good blether before we started.
Yeah, absolutely. Good to see you. Good to see you. Full transparency, you used to be my boss.
Oh, my word. That was a long time ago.
Long time ago. And now look at us.
Yes, we've both left corporate life for good, I think. So, yes.
Well, unless Cindy Crawford's going to be the PA.
Well, yes, that was part of our chat beforehand. So for everyone who's listening in, Ashley said, would I go back to corporate life? I said, for a massive salary and Cindy Crawford as a PA. So
that's hilarious. So, Dermot, a little bit about yourself for those people who really don't know you. But yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I've been helping accountants since May the 1st, 1996. One of the few people in the world who's thankful for self-assessment, because that was what caused me to join Iris Software back in the day when it was a small little business. So I was number 44 on the payroll, believe it or not. 44 on the payroll, and 12 of those were actually field salespeople. Can you believe it? Or should I say field salesmen in those days?
12 salespeople out of 44 staff. Wow. No wonder they grew. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, we were very small at that stage. We're one of the smaller players. But we kind of did, tool up for self-assessment as such, and did 10 years at Iris, and 9.5 of those were absolutely fantastic, really good fun. Good growth. We went from a small family business into somebody which Lloyd's Development Capital invested. Then a couple of years after that, HG Capital came along, which was very interesting because I, from starting off as a rookie sales guy, I was actually involved right at the tail end of those discussions. So I actually got to sit in front of Mr. Nick Humphreys, who is now the MD of HG Capital and is probably the most important man in European software. So,
wow.
So that was quite interesting. And like I said, just a tiny piece of the actual due diligence of the deal. But a good, interesting meeting. And there is a story about that, which I'll tell you off air. So what have I done since then? So I had a couple of years out of the space. When I left Iris, I did the radical thing of working in the cloud. So in 2006, I worked in the cloud. Can you believe it? So in construction software.
Do you think, talking about the cloud, do you ever think that will catch on?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It probably actually took a bit longer than I thought. So, I mean, I was working in construction software, and so that was 2006. So that was actually even before, Xero was only formed in 2009. I think 2008, 2009, or kind of went public. They were probably developing the product for a bit before then. Quite interestingly, the company that I was working for, A-Site in construction, that they were such early pioneers in the cloud that Mark Benioff, who was the CEO of Salesforce, when he used to come across to London for meetings, etc., would meet them for a coffee. And then as he and Salesforce became much bigger, becoming one of the biggest companies in the world, the kind of, it was, I've got 10 minutes for a coffee, you need to be here now. And from then it went, sorry chaps, I'm just far too busy. So I never got to meet myself, but there we go. But so that was really early days of cloud software. I didn't stay there too long, but that was more because the MD was a complete fruitcake, which is another story for off air.
And now you're running your own business, and you've created this amazing list that everyone's talking about.
Yes, indeed. So I put the list together because I ran a conference last year under the brand name Account for Your Future, which was for accountants in practice. So me and my colleague peer, Richard Bruin, who again chartered accountant, now coaches accountants, we sat together and said, well, look, we're really bored of all the negativity that accountants are getting. Let's try and do something positive. So it was the conference, and then you kind of say, oh, well, now we've committed to it, how are we going to promote it? And of course we say, well, how much have you got? Well, I've got 10 pence next Friday. And he said, well, I've got 15 actually. So that was about the size of the marketing budget. And so we thought, right, what can we do? And so I said, league table of LinkedIn. So I sat down on a Saturday evening and kind of sketched it out roughly. On the Sunday morning, I published it at circa 8:30. And within 30 seconds, one Jerry Williams had responded. And because I tagged a few people in, Jerry being one of them. If I'm allowed to call her Jerry, I don't actually know her. And then Chris Downing of Sage, he responded within about a minute. And then because the way that I put it together was just people I know, or know of, people who are active on LinkedIn, people who post good content.
I wondered how I managed to get on that list.
oh yes, all chums. Anyone who bought me a coffee in the past was on the list. And then from that, it was quite funny because Jerry posted, "Oh, this is a good idea," and then within about 20 minutes, she said, "Oh, I think you've missed so and so," and then, within an hour, you really should add, Fred and Flossie, and it just spiraled. So I posted at 8:30, thinking I'd get to the gym for 9 o'clock on that Sunday morning, and I didn't get to the gym till about 1 o'clock because people were just
till Wednesday.
Yeah. So anyway, so certainly the time that it took to put together was pretty considerable on that first weekend, and I know there was some chatter in one of the Slack groups that I put together. But since then, I have a brilliant VA, virtual assistant, Christine, my work wife, who's based in the Philippines. So I've been working with Christine for about 6 or 7 years now. And to be fair, Christine does most of the work now, but it doesn't take a huge amount of time. We actually check circa 180 to 200 people every month, and
wow.
we put the top list up of about 130, because you put top 100 up and everyone goes, "Ooh, why am I on there?" Well, because you're 102, and so it's just easier to stop all of those questions. He says, being one of the laziest men in the world, and trying to avoid work at any stage. So that's what we do. So we check it. One of the first of all, Christine is a brilliant colleague. She doesn't work with me. She works with a range of people in this space, and everyone gives her gold stars. So if you need any admin help, I can certainly recommend Christine. And the benefit of being in the Philippines, of course, is that she is 7 hours ahead, so I can ping her a message.
You come in the morning and all the work is done.
So in that way, that works well. So I can go to I can send her a message on the Sunday evening, and then when I kind of come and sit at this desk on a Monday morning, it's done, and I just have to put some narrative together and pop it up there. Although I suppose even now or even sometimes she's ahead of the game. We've worked together that long. We've got a plan, believe it or not, and she knows what she's got to do. And sometimes it has appeared here on the Sunday evening, so I can actually get it all set up and use the scheduler in LinkedIn. So
fantastic.
So it's good.
Fantastic. We got a few people here saying hello. So hi, Merlin, Pavel, Matt, Yuri, Kyle, John, and Andy David. I love you. I'm not even paying you for this, but that's a really, really, really lovely thing for you to say. I get why these are for accountants, but these conversations are so engaging. So we're talking about this LinkedIn list then, Dermot.
Okay.
And you've got all these people within the accounting space, because we're both in the accounting space.
Yep.
So how long does it take to produce every month?
In terms of producing, then it's probably a couple of hours for me, a couple of hours for Christine. So we've got it down to quite a fine art now. I think we've been doing it since August or September.
It's been a while.
So whatever that is, we've done 5 or 6. So we're getting a bit of a lean, mean machine, knowing what both of us have got to do. So not too much time now. The other good thing is that as people want to get on the list, I know this was one of the things that you wanted me to chat about. As people get close to the 130, they actually ping me a message and say, "I'm desperately trying to get on the list, and I reckon I'll be on there next month. So can you just make sure that you double check me next month in 4 weeks' time?" So that's quite good. So then, we can highlight those people and make sure they're not missed off.
Fantastic. So okay. So I'm watching this. Yep. I'm in the bookkeeping and accounting space. And you've not noticed me. How do I? And I look at the list and I can see I've got more followers than somebody on that list. How do I appear on that list next month, please, Dermot?
Well, it's really simple. All you have to do is send me a message on LinkedIn, and I will add you in. So it is a bit of a manual exercise at this moment in time. So all you need to do is ping me a message, and I will add you in. So, for example, if we post it on the Account for Your Future homepage, and then I copy it on my account. But if you get, it's probably easier on the Account for Your Future page because there's not as much traffic on there. And you can see, for example, that a young lady called Samantha Senior, who is an accountant, runs a business called the Aesthetics Accountant, has gone in this month. I think she's at circa 11 on the league table, around about there. And you'll see that any new entrants to the table will be highlighted in red. They'll just have their current follower number, and then, you know, the previous month will obviously be blank. So it's as simple as that, and it was quite amusing because I do actually know Samantha reasonably well, and she hadn't appeared on the list. It was only when our mutual friend Ria had mentioned to Sam, "Why aren't you on this list?" She went, "Never seen it before, and I don't know why. I should be." So she said, "We'll just have a word with Dermot. He'll put you on." So it's that simple.
Brilliant. That's good. Or drop a comment in here. So if
yes, indeed, I saw the one and only Mr. John Toon, who gets everywhere, was watching us. So I'm sure he'll be coming up with something. There he is.
Here, so
there he is.
The world famous podcast host, apparently.
Oh, he is indeed. I know you know him. So no, he's recovering after an accident on the ski slopes last week. So I hope your ACL gets better quickly.
So the only criteria is you've got to be in this space. Is that right?
Well, I suppose there's two, actually. The second one I've added recently. So the first one is that you need to be in the UK, and you need to be involved in some way, shape or form with accountants. So you can be an accountant in practice. It's not for accountants in corporate life. So it's not for accountants in business. It's purely accountants in practice. Or you can be a vendor, one of the people who works for the numerous software houses, or any of the other information providers, or just a general influencer, someone who's involved in the space. So as you'll see, there's actually a good mix. That's one of the things that surprised me. I thought there would be a lot of vendors in the league table, but if you actually look at it, there's not that many. In fact, there's a surprisingly very low number of vendor software salesmen, sales ladies, I should say, both.
Sales people. It's funny.
Sales people. Sorry,
they don't get it, do they? They don't get it.
No, I think I may have mentioned this to you before, but our esteemed ex-employer, when we, both used to work together, I don't think I told you then, but I put together in my 2011 plan, which was the last year I was there, LinkedIn training. And it was knocked back very unceremoniously. "What the bloody hell are you talking about this for, boy? Nobody takes it seriously. It doesn't matter, does it?" And I went, clearly it does. Otherwise, I wouldn't have put it in my plan. And gone off.
I think so.
and then, lo and behold, 3 years later, in 2014, there was much noise on LinkedIn about how they'd undertaken this global sales program. And I thought, there you go. Never be at bleeding edge in corporate life. I think when you're in a company of that size, part of the route to success is not being at bleeding edge.
So Vishali wants to get on the list. So do you know Vishali?
I do, yes.
Yeah. And this is what I like about the list, Dermot. It's because we see all these other people on the list, and what it's doing, it's making us think a little bit more about our content and our engagement. Yeah. So because it's all about the number of followers, and you could come up with all kinds of amazing things for criteria. I was chatting to an American LinkedIn trainer Monday, I think it was, and she's on the top 50 worldwide LinkedIn trainers or something. And I turned around to her and I said, "How did you get on the list?" She said, "Oh, there's a bit of contention about that because the guy that put the list together is actually top of that list." Right. And the criteria is you get certain points for this thing and certain points for that thing. So if you do lives, you get 10 points. If you do this, you get a few more points and whatever. And so however he worked it out made him the toppest, which is brilliant. So your criteria is the only way you measure it is the number of followers.
Yes, it's the number of followers. Now I know, and I didn't come to the second point actually for getting on the list, and the second reason I've added quite recently, and that's no dickheads. So no dickheads on the list.
All right, okay.
Because I had one or two people getting a bit shirty with messages and stuff, and so well, there you go. It's my list. I'll do what I want with it.
I'm taking a ball home.
I'm taking my list away. Yes. So
yeah, absolutely.
And in fairness, there are very, very few of those particular people in the accountancy space, I'm pleased to say. So yeah, if you're not on it, it's all free. There's it's quite light-hearted. It's all for a bit of fun. So just drop me a line. So for Charlie, I will make sure you are added to the list. Obviously, it comes out on the 1st of the month. I was a bit slow this month. It didn't come out to the 13th or 14th. So that was my fault. My apologies.
We did have Christmas and Boxing Day, and Twixtmas, and that New Year thing as well, didn't we?
Well, we did, and there also might be at a certain point that Christine, my VA, took a holiday as well. So but it was on my to-do list every day, and in fairness, it didn't get done until she came back. So that's one of the reasons why I rely on it.
Great point from Pavel.
Well, yes, I think I'd agree with you on that, which is why I'm clearly working for myself now.
And I got a great question here for Nadine. Okay. What is the number of followers for the list? So what's the entry point, Dermot?
Ooh, that's a good. Now, do you know what? I had my LinkedIn all set up so that if someone asked me a question like that, which I wasn't able to ask, I could flick to it. And for some reason, I've closed them all down before we.
The trouble is, when you're live, you can only do this. That's the trouble. You can't. You can't look away.
Indeed. Look, Nadine, I will follow up as soon as we finish. I will send you the link so you can see the league table. So I'm guessing it's around about 2,000. I think with the first one I put when I did it the first time I put about 150 people on, but then that was becoming a bit too time consuming. So I narrowed it down. I kind of drew a line at around about 2,000. So it's around about 2,000, give or take.
Perfect.
But like I say, it's based upon followers. I mean, if anyone's got any suggestions around how we could verify that, because there's always the talk. And I know Ryan Piercy, made a comment in your post this morning around, follower size, not all about size. When you're quite right, Ryan, it's certainly not. So LinkedIn have their SSI score, their social selling index, which is a free resource, which if you've not done before, it has 4 measures, which kind of gives you a total figure. And that's an indication. So what I might do if we've got time is get Christine to pile out some messages to everybody and or put a post so people can respond.
That would be. I think what you'd need to do with that, Dermot, is give everybody a link to a form. So if you do Google Form, and then that would populate a spreadsheet.
Yeah,
wouldn't it?
Yeah, so that's, that is one way of actually adding a bit of a quality sense. I mean, again, what you're obviously relying on there is people filling in the correct total. So, my total.
I'm being honest.
Yeah, I'm being honest. Yeah. My total's been circa 79 to 82 for some time.
Yeah. Did you know that's not going to go up until you get Navigator? You can't get it any higher than that without Navigator.
Yes,
Navigator gives you another 10 straight away or something, apparently.
Oh, does it? Oh, well, There we go. So for those of you listening in wondering what Sales Navigator is, it's a LinkedIn paid for tool. Yeah. So
thank you for that.
And of course, I should point out that the LinkedIn SSI is purely a way that LinkedIn gamify us all to ensure that we spend more time on LinkedIn. So.
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing is, the people that are getting the more followers, the people that are standing out on that list are the people that are creating content that is engaging.
Yes.
Isn't it? And is there any on there that really jump out at you?
Okay, so in terms of accountants in the UK, then I particularly like Laura Taylor's really good, which is why she's number 1. And has been for some time.
How many followers did she add since the last list? That was incredible.
Over 5,000 in a month. Yeah, so that was absolutely stunning.
That's mega.
There's a gentleman called Carl Roberts. And Carl is a managing partner of a firm in the Preston, Lancashire area. I don't know him, but he posts daily, and he posts some really good content. So Carl is always worth watching. Good old Samantha Mitchum. You can't talk about LinkedIn without mentioning Samantha. So I think
I just want to jump in there, right? I just want to jump in there. She started doing Tax Tips Tuesdays. Okay. Not last year, the year before, and she did a video every single week.
Yep.
And it was honest, it was interesting, it was helpful, and because of the consistency, that's why we're now talking about Samantha today. And absolutely delightful young lady as well.
Yes, she is. I have had the pleasure of meeting her and doing a webinar on the on the LinkedIn Top 100 just before Christmas, which is, you can watch on our YouTube channel or access via the actual LinkedIn page, Account for Your Future, account spelled ACCT. So one of the things I like about Samantha is she's very honest, very authentic, but also you can see the quality of her writing is, with the greatest respect, really improved. And you can see this with people who do post consistently even, that it doesn't matter who it is, doesn't matter what sector, that if you're posting every day, which of course is what all the gurus tell you to do, then the quality of your writing, your insights just gets better and better. And, the post which Samantha put out this morning is really quite clever about comparing accountancy to a jigsaw puzzle. So.
No, and that's the thing is, again, I'll jump in there. You don't have to post every day. It's posting consistently. And what I tell people on my workshops is post once a week. And then when you get comfortable with that, add something else. And then when you get comfortable with that, and then add something else. Because if you go from 0 to 7 days a week or 5 days a week, that's a big jump. So it's only when you get that confidence. And like you say, what Samantha's done, because she's posting regularly, she's learning all this stuff. She's reading other stuff. She's seeing other posts. And one of the key things I say to everybody on my workshop is to comment. Because if you're commenting, you're actually going and reading those posts. So all of that is going in. So it's absolutely superb.
Yeah. And then the other person, sorry, I smirk there because is one of my filler words when I do these podcasts, and I was determined not to today. So I've done it.
We can edit it out. No one's going to notice that.
So Heather Elkington, again, somebody that I don't know, but I do like her posts as well. Again, consistent. Honest, talks about her role within GoProposal, which is a tool that I don't use, never used, but really do like her chats around going from small business, growing that business, selling it into big corporate, and some of the stuff that she does outside of work. So I do like Heather's pieces.
Yeah, she puts a lot of fun. Somebody that is on that list, quite high on that list, is Francesca Tricarico. And she is absolutely brilliant. I had the pleasure of interviewing her at the Digital Accountancy Show last year, and she is incredible. And the reason I say she's incredible is because she doesn't worry about what she looks like or how she is. She's just telling it straight. She's sharing her business story. And one of the things I said to her, she's actually been on my show, and so she won't mind me repeating this, but she does it some days without makeup, and that is what this is all about. It's what social media is all about, because you have to be authentic, and we can't always look our best. So if you ever see me with a hat on, I'm having a bad hair day, Dermot.
Well, I can just confirm, for reasons of authenticity, I am doing this podcast without makeup. So before anyone gets confused, but no, Francesca is one of the people I've had the pleasure of meeting through the LinkedIn Top 100, and you're quite right that she's first of all a lovely lady. She runs a very successful business, which I think has been backed on the back of her work on social media, certainly helped. And she knows her social media stuff, and fair play to her. And she's very, very authentic. Doesn't matter, it's 6 o'clock in the morning, walking to the gym. She's obviously training for this High Rocks event or whatever it is at the moment, which I believe actually my nephew from just along the road is going to be at as well. So there you go. So I know all about her. I'm not stalking her. It's just the fact that I do read her pieces every morning.
So where are we? Yeah, Pavel wants the link for the table. I think what you should do, Dermot, is at the end of the show, if you go back in and just drop all the links that you've got, the link to the list and all the other things that you want to share. So if you could do that. Marie loves your list. How did Laura get 5,000 extra followers this month? My thoughts are, Marie, brilliant content. She put some amazing content out, and so people go and see that content. It goes viral. People then start following her. That's it. It's consistency, don't you think, Dermot?
Yes, indeed. I mean, her content is superb, and she's been posting good content. She's very focused on being an accountant who services construction businesses of a certain size, and she offers a kind of outsourced financial director service to those people. So her content is very much focused around that. Although today, again, not stalking her, but I can tell you that she took her daughter, or one of her daughters, to the Lewis Capaldi gig in Glasgow last night. So there's a picture of that. So yes, she's very, very good.
And Kirsty's saying she reckons Penelope Allard should be on there. So yeah, I think she should be. I've seen her stuff, but I'm not sure how many followers she has. But get in touch, Kirsty.
I will check as soon as we finish this, and I'm aware of Penelope.
And Josh says, right from your stream of consciousness, no chat GPT. Absolutely, Josh. Absolutely. And content is everywhere. That's the thing. And did it help that it was Christmas and not many people posting? Yeah, absolutely, Marie. And that was the thing. I was telling people to post at Christmas because there's less noise. So yeah, that might be a reason. But the other reason is she's already got 70,000 followers. So when she posts something, it's getting a lot of reach straight away, and that's the key. And that doesn't happen overnight. It all takes time.
But you are quite correct, Marie. There was a noticeable dip in the number of followers in increases in January compared to previous months for the for everybody in the top 100. There were some notable people who did add: Lawrence Fishman, Laura, Johan Gori, who's been very busy with his podcasts and work for Intuit, and also he's just launched a practice management tool, Client Engager. So Johan had some good increases. Yeah.
And so final question, because you've gone over our 15 minutes.
I know, we barely started, haven't we? Barely started.
Guess what, Dermot? We're going to have to do this again, aren't we?
Oh, awesome. Let's do it.
I'll tell you what we do next time is we'll pick a few people off the list to come in and share what they're doing. That
would be a really good idea. I mean, I would, if anybody has some good ideas, if you've got time, post away. And let us know in the chat box or ping me a message directly on LinkedIn. I think one of the good things about the list is that I am connected with, I think, virtually everybody on the league table and those just below, which obviously makes communication easier. But I haven't met a lot of them face to face. Probably met about 50% of the people face to face at conferences and the like.
So
So anything new, I think we should definitely follow through that idea of the SSI. Yeah. But if there's any ways we can, stretch it, enhance it, make it more interesting, then let me know.
Absolutely. So I've got one more question, but before I do that question, I want to introduce my guest for next week. I don't know if you know Cheryl Sharp. But she is going to be my guest next week.
I know of Cheryl. Again, she's quite active on the.
So I spoke to Cheryl a few weeks ago, and I said, "Will you come on my show?" And she said, "Yeah, I'd love to." Because what I want to do with this show is also share accountants and bookkeepers that are doing great things. So she said, "Yeah, I'll come on." And then last week, she put up notice that she's just launched her podcast, Secrets of a Survivor, where she is talking about her escape from domestic abuse and how she's grown and got there as well. So we'll be covering a couple of topics next week. I can't wait to have a good old chat with her. I've known Cheryl for absolutely ages. She's already a star in my eyes because of what she's doing, but now she's sharing this story as well. It's just incredible. So please join me next week when we chat to Cheryl. Dermot, you've been an amazing guest. I love having a chat with you. It's great to catch up. This list is incredible. My final question, why curly whirlies?
Why curly whirlies? Well, first of all, Nikolai, you're quite right. The size of today's curly whirly compared to when I was a child, tiny, they're double the size, I think. But have you ever met anyone who says no to a curly whirly? Since I've posted these curly whirly or images of curly whirlies, I've had to send some across to France and various people in the UK who've said, "Ooh, what's a curly whirly like?" And I said, "Well, I'll post one to you." And nobody has come back and said, "Well, they're bloody horrible. I hate them." In fact, the people in France said they're lovely. We can't get them here, so send some more. So, anyway, look, it's a bit of fun using a curly whirly. It's a bit of it proves that it's light-hearted. There's nothing too serious about it. And so, like I say, who's going to say no to any chocolate, let alone a curly whirly?
No, absolutely. Dermot, thank you so much for coming on the show. We will do this again. Thank you to everybody for all your incredible comments. And so we will see you all next week. And thank you very much indeed. Cheerio.
You get out what you put in. Never gonna